Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Proudfoot podcast. Today, we finished the 4-part recap series of a 2-year campaign I ran with all my friends. This campaign was called Raiders on the Wall, and if you missed parts 1, 2, or 3, they're all linked in the description down below this video. We will also have a reveal episode coming out next week, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, let's get right into the recap. Okay. So, you guys finished the long rest. Tal doesn't wake up the party. You guys wake up the next day and Daphne realizes, hey, it's been 13 days since Deardrha got pregnant.
Since Deardrha ate a baby.
Since Deardrha ate a baby.
You can say it. You can just say it.
You just say it. Yeah.
She's having kids the old-fashioned way.
It's rules is written for hags. That's all I have to say. I didn't make anything up. So you guys convinced the dragons to take a major detour and go to Deardrha's house because, to quote Daphne, we can't miss the baby's birth.
Yep.
And you guys had even bought toys for the baby last time you were in Crankshaft.
We actually did buy those toys.
Oh, that's yeah. That was the one time you actually were honest patrons of a store.
Because we felt bad stealing from the nice old toy maker.
And it was for Deardrha, so you don't want to give stolen toys.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be on. That would be pretty normal for Deardrha, actually.
For her, yeah.
But yes, the best. That was probably one of my favorite sessions as well. The session of Deardrha.
Wild.
Yeah, I probably should have had something prepared, but what happened was still pretty great. Clay, I don't know if we ever described this to you, but they got to Deardrha's place. No one was home. They banged on the thing, and then Dee Dee comes up and is like, Deardrha's sleeping, or Mom's sleeping. You guys don't want to wake her up. That'd be really rude or something. And she says it in the most monotone voice because that's her character. You guys go in. Eventually, Deardrha wakes up and then says, like, it's time for stew. And I think you guys... I don't know if that's the time you had Twig Roadkill stew. You might have had that a different time. But I think Deardrha was more certain that it's time to give birth, and she's like, well, I need to drink this entire jar of fish rot guts. And when I say jar, I mean a human-sized jar. I think I described it as being around mine or Swap's size. So, like, you know, about like 5'10" off the ground or so, and then, you know, the volume of an adult.
Yep.
So a ridiculous amount of fish guts.
A ridiculous. And it was fish rot gut, which is something the DM has made up, and it was a milky looking substance that smelt like fish. And Deardrha said, I need to drink all of this in 10 minutes, and you are all going to help me. So then the party devised a plan for how they were going to tilt this jar into Deardrha's mouth in 10 minutes. But they couldn't do it too fast, and they couldn't do it too slow. Had to be the right pace.
It was very well controlled.
Did Fornold use Bigby's hand? Was that?
We all pitched in for that one.
Yeah.
Tifala turned into a gorilla, and then with the grip strength of the gorilla was able to like try and balance it as you guys tilted it down. And I think you devised a plan to waterfall it from the 3rd floor to the 2nd floor of Deardrha's house.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
And you guys did it, and then she puked up all of the fish guts onto, I think it was just Dee Dee.
No, she made us all line up and do it like that.
That's right, she did.
So all of us got to have fish guts.
Yes.
And then the baby got vomited up.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how babies are made.
Nature is beautiful.
You heard it here first.
The monster manual was vague on how the baby was delivered, but I feel like it should come out the hole it went in.
Fair enough. That's how it usually works.
I was going to say, I'm just following my basic biology.
Yeah, otherwise she would have to, like, digest it and poop it out, which wouldn't be...
I don't want to do that. You gotta have
so that would mean that the fish rot gut was really meant as more of a lubricant.
The
Either to
alternative
induce
would be a
labor
laxative.
or to like make exiting the baby's exit a lot easier.
Okay.
God.
Good.
So you guys did that, and then Deardrha said you need to put the baby back in its home.
Right.
And I
Yep.
think the party was convinced to do this because Daphne said it was a good idea, because Daphne was convinced by Deardrha, when Deardrha phrased it as a prank, and Daphne likes pranks.
You're like, that does sound pretty funny.
Does sound
Bro,
pretty
it'll be
funny.
so funny. Just do it.
Yeah,
Oh my
because
god.
I think I told you guys this, but I'll say it again for people who don't know. Hags will eat someone's baby, doesn't matter the gender. Then it is reborn by the hag after 13 days of gestation. Doesn't specify how that happens, just reborn. And it's reborn as a girl. So doesn't matter what goes in, girl comes out according to the monster manual. And then at the age of 13, the child then starts to turn into a hag. And that is how hags are made. At least green hags. That's the specifics for a green hag.
Good.
Yeah. And it's because they love mischief and mayhem, so they steal babies away from the crib and then they make them into hags. So it's like this kind of like horror story for children. And I think that's probably where the creators of D&D got it from, because everything comes from folklore.
Yep. And I mean,
Interesting.
I think it was fine. Like, we're not going to
Mhm.
see any like detrimental effects for the next 12 years at the very earliest.
And she could be a delightful hag, like Deardrha.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Dee Dee's great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, debatable, but yeah.
Jeff and Jeb had stable government jobs.
well,
Jeff
Jeff
did.
did.
Jeff did,
Jeb
right?
not so much.
Jeb was a
Mhm.
dependent of Jeff.
Yeah.
Hey, you gotta get off her back. She's like a young 70-year-old elf
Yeah, just starting out, still trying to find her way in the world.
starting out. Totally
So-
an elf and not a hag in disguise.
Absolutely.
Exactly. But yeah, I think Tal and I went and dropped off the baby, and I felt bad, and I
Yep.
think I gave some of Fornold felt bad and gave some of his money as well.
Yeah, Tal did
Oh, yeah,
that. Yeah, we
'cause-
both donated to because the mother's house was destroyed or something like that.
And
And her
The
husband
dad
was dead,
died.
right? Yeah.
dad
Oh,
died, yeah.
And the dad.
But
And then-
okay, but
and-
she was also trying to like swindle us out of more money, and she was like, "You're only gonna give us like
No.
50 gold."
She wasn't trying to swindle you. She was a newly single mother down on her luck, and she was just asking for the bare minimum to get by. Are you really going to deny this single, very recently widowed mother?
That's basically exactly how she convinced them also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just two good boys.
exactly.
Okay, but like also like the way that like we gave her so much money. Like 50 gold is a lot.
It is.
Like we set her up for like at least a year with that amount of money.
You got to build a home. Homes ain't cheap.
Why do you think Tal was getting his friends to help build things too?
No, I know. You guys got a lot for it. No. She was a con artist. That's why she was doing all that. And
Yeah.
Daphne knew
Yep.
that because Daphne found all the
Jeez.
shit in her house. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she's a con artist that was blessed with a very good and real story. So, got to play it up.
Fair enough.
It's not a lie if it's the
Take
truth.
advantage. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true. Yeah.
That's how that works. Yeah.
Yep.
So then the next session, the only thing I have written down for it for the session nodes was like you get magical items and you attune and identify a bunch of things.
Yeah, I think we're just traveling at that
That, yeah,
point.
that was
You
just
got-
travel day. And
you guys just
like
traveled, there
every
wasn't anything
short rest
interesting.
was like identifying items or attuning
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah, it wasn't super interesting.
No.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys got to Northport, where you decide to rest just outside the town. Oh, I'm forgetting something very important to this right now. First, what happened in that last session, the one that we just wrote off, was the dragons were upset. Daphne asked them what the dragons like to eat, and they said gnomes and looked at Fornold.
Right.
And
But it was a
and
joke. It was all a joke.
It was a
all,
joke.
it was all a joke. And then
Totally.
they followed it up by saying they like chicken. And I think in Craigshaft, you guys actually did get them a shit ton of fried chicken.
Yeah.
I
At
think
least a couple of
Tifala did.
chickens.
Tifala
I think
did.
Tifala got them a
Yeah.
huge amount and put them all in a bag of holding and then gave them to her or something.
Sounds right.
And that was important because you guys went to Northport, and Clay, I think this was the last the last 2 sessions you weren't there for, but they went to Northport, then went to the beach before going into town to just have a nice relaxing beach time, and the DM's like, "You want to have nice relaxing time in D&D? No, encounter."
Fucking merfolk attacking us when we're just trying to like bathe.
Have you never heard of a
Alright.
beach episode?
Yeah, exactly. Beach episode. Yeah.
Just
You
trying
guys
to
had-
splash around, get to know each other a little bit better in this like relaxing environment. No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. It would have been kind of funny in retrospect if you guys were on the way back and you noticed a sign that said like beware of Murrow at the beach.
Yeah.
And then Tal would be like, how did I not notice this with my 23 passive perception?
Yeah. Pretty embarrassing.
You guys came back and then the dragons had flown away because the DM was really trying to make you go on a ship.
Yep.
We left them a
Yeah.
note.
we did leave them a note.
And then
was-
I spend all my spell slots casting sending so that I can tell them to come back.
And then they came
Tried to
back
co-
and demanded chicken.
Right.
And so
right.
thus begins the journey into the fishing town of Northport, which has
The
To find
a
chicken.
chicken.
which has a bustling economy of fishermen and importers and exporters, but there's not chicken around.
For whatever reason, they don't import chicken.
These people like fish. They don't need chicken.
They have
The
chicken of the
chicken
sea.
of the sea.
The omega-3s, Conrad. Come on.
There's
just
a
like-
limit to the amount of omega-3s one body can handle.
Not for Tritons, there's not.
Clearly.
But
Wait,
yeah,
so
we,
if you
I
ate a
remember.
Triton, do you think that they have a lot of omega-3s?
I don't have this
Probably.
thought.
Well, like if they eat a lot of fish, like the omega-3s have to go somewhere, right?
Yeah, I imagine they would have them.
That's probably
Hmm.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next time you guys are eating Tritons.
Yeah. I'll
Um,
definitely identify the amount of omega-3s.
In a Triton steak.
I tried.
Swap, you're gonna say something though about
Yeah,
Northport?
yeah. So yeah, I remember us going to various different just people trying to find out if where we can get chicken, and then Tifala at that time was trying to earn some money by what was she doing? Selling bananas, right? She had a lot of bananas. She was selling the bananas, and then we then came across a fancy gentleman who was selling us some chicken of the sea.
Yes, you guys were on the docks and you found some fish vendors. One of them had some really nice fish, and I can't remember exactly how expensive it was, but it was pretty expensive. So you guys started looking around for cheaper fish, and then you found the one guy who had, I think it was like something like buck of chum or something, like very much like ripping off SpongeBob kind of thing. And I
It's
think
And
you
it was
way
bought,
like
cheap.
it was like a copper for a pound of fish.
Yeah.
I think you guys spent 4 gold and got like 400 pounds of fish.
Yeah.
And then the guy
Yeah.
closed up shop because he's like, well, I just sold all my fish.
And then we need to go buy a wok to cook all this fish in.
Well, then you found out that Tifala had a cooking set. Some
Right,
like
but we
cook
still
like
need the oil.
we still need the oil. So you guys, while you were on the docks, you found, I don't know if you guys remember this, but the 3 halflings in a butcher coat.
Yes,
Yes.
good times.
I think only half the party noticed that it was 3 halflings in a butcher coat, but anyway, it's not like it was important, but I thought it was fun.
It was fun. That's what
It
matters.
was-
Yeah, exactly. It was fun, so it's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
And then you guys bought like a couple bags of lard from them, like whale blubber or
Mhm.
whatever.
Oh, right, the whale blubber. Good stuff.
And you use the
Mhm.
whale blubber as like the fat to fry your fish in. And then there's a whole escapade with you guys frying fish for like 8 hours because you're like, okay, you have the small cooking set which can hold like this much stuff or whatever, right? It's like not huge. And you're like, okay, we have 400 pounds of fish. I mean, I've ate fish before. You guys have ate fish before. You've seen like a fillet of fish. I don't know how many pounds that is off the top of my head, but I think it's like 2 to 4 pounds, depending on the size of the fillet.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
like fish only takes a few minutes to cook, like maybe 10 minutes.
Okay, so if you got 400, this is bringing back memories of doing this.
Yeah, we did the math. It was a while.
I think it's like if you could fry like 4 pounds of fish in a minute and you have 100 pounds, it takes 100 minutes. Actually, that's a lot faster than we made it happen. So
yeah, no,
We
I
wanted to
remember
cook it just right.
That's right.
Right after they started, I went back into town to get a wok, but also to get spices because we are like, oh, this is gonna be not very tasty fish.
Right, because we were trying to scavenge some spices in the forest, but Joe was like, no, there's spices don't just grow naturally, which is fair, they don't.
Well, that and you guys weren't in a forest. You were basically at the end of the grasslands, which went into this like rocky north coast. So there wasn't a whole bunch of foliage or anything around where there's like flowers or stuff. Because Tifala did look, and I was like, well, you can roll these checks about what might be in the area or go looking for stuff. But I think she rolled high enough on the nature check. I'm like, look, there's not stuff around. And then she's like, well, I'm gonna go look for it. I'm like, okay, you rolled pretty well, but you determined that there is nothing around because there wasn't anything around.
Yeah.
But you guys cooked this fish, and the reason it's important is because it was funny, and that's it. And also because the dragons left.
And the dragons were like, no, this we kept trying to feed it to them, and they were like, not sure how I feel about this. But one of them was like, ooh, this is all right.
Yeah, Penelope was like, this is okay. The rest of them were like, this is disgusting. We hate it. I think you guys put one of Deardrha's powders in it, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if that rings a bell with anyone.
I think we did at some point.
Yeah, because I took a bunch and then I was like, oh, let's try this.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think because I remember rolling for the dragons, and Penelope was the only one who rolled high enough that they weren't repulsed by it. So she stuck around. But you guys couldn't all fly on Penelope. So she said, okay, I'll meet you on Isle Veloci. And it is at this point that the DM realized that the island that he was sending you to wasn't the island he labeled as Isle Veloci. But the DM also remembered that no one ever pointed out to the party which one it was.
They told us they were taking us there.
and then
we
also
were swindled.
So here's how that all makes sense in this stupidest way. So it was basically, you can blame the DM at the end of the day, but this is the DM's justification for everything that happened. So Clay, this is when you came back. You guys went and looked for a boat. You guys talked to the halfling crew, but they were in town for a couple of days, and you guys decided you didn't want to wait a couple of days. So you went and talked to a Triton crew. They were going to leave the next day, but it was going to be really early. So you guys just slept on the boat. And then when you woke up, you were already at sea. And then we went to the next session. And then Joe forgot that you went on the Triton boat and didn't check the last session. And it's just like, you're on the halfling boat, because nothing's more fun than being on a boat full of halflings. So, but
that's when I joined.
Yeah,
on the halfling boat.
But canon-wise, what happened in my mind is you guys were sleeping, they went out to sea, and then the halflings just took their boat.
Nice.
Because
we like,
I
get it.
Because I just insinuated for the rest of the time you guys were with them, when you met up with them later, they were pirates.
Yeah.
So it all fit in the end, but I think that's how we mend that continuity error that happened.
Did they kill all the Tritons?
You don't know.
I feel like they didn't.
I feel like they didn't either. I think they're
they were nice halflings.
They probably just traded boats.
Yeah.
Yeah, they forgot that they had other people on board.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I guess we'll fulfill this contract.
Yeah.
But
they didn't really know what the contract was, so they dropped us off at the wrong island.
They didn't even take us to the shore. They were like, we're like 5 kilometers from the island. Get out now if you want to. And we're like, okay.
Well, because it was a different shipping route that they were going on. Like, this was the closest side. And we're like, well, we can already just fly up the cliff face. We don't need to go around to like the port or whatever.
Well, it's funny because then when you met up with them like 10 sessions later, they were at the place and then they're like, "Oh, we'll take you to the right island because you went to the wrong one."
So like it all worked out in the end. Like it was
Yeah.
It
it was
did.
going to be the same amount of time waiting anyways.
And then we got to do
Exactly.
these awesome encounters where you guys did the water walk, then you did the Quetzalcoatl up the mountain, realized there was 12 mountains, found the hatch, went down into the hatch, found the
The
purple worm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Almost
We had our
died.
purple worm encounter. Yeah, that was that. Okay, this is more cognitive dissonance. That was a
we had
super
no
easy encounter.
that it was fine because we were able to banish it and
Yeah.
run away.
Yeah.
We would not have survived it if we tried to fight it.
Clay, your face when I said it was super easy.
I remember us trying to fight it and being like, yeah, it's just a worm. And then immediately being like, we're all going to die here. There's nothing we can do to escape the inevitable.
Like Joe, you said it was really easy, but like depending on how if the banishment was successful or not, essentially determined if we were going to live.
No, you
Yep.
guys would have died from that. So like, okay, think of it this way. The worm, if I recall correctly, can't kill any of you guys at the level you were at with one hit. It gets one turn out of your guys' 6.
Yeah.
If I do even if I do 40 damage to one of you, I don't down you, assuming you're at full health, which you were because you had a long rest and you hadn't gotten in a fight yet. Then it does 40 damage to one of you. You're hurt significantly. You're stressed. You're like, oh no, my character's gonna die. Then there's 6 turns of level 10 players hitting this worm. And then it gets to hit one of you again.
But can't it eat people and doesn't it have a multi-attack?
It does have multi-attack. It can eat people, but I wasn't basing it off how many attacks it gets, just how much damage it can deal.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just me trying to justify the things
We were
I throw at you
also
guys.
underground in this worm's territory. Like it had home court advantage.
Cementing Tal's fear of the dark.
At the dark, the underground, like, no, fuck that.
It was
Get out.
very
Get me
bad.
out of
We have to
there.
justify Tal's fears. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just pulled it up again to see what it does. Yeah, so it can digest you. That was the thing. And if it digested you, you took an extra 66 acid damage, which on average is 21 damage. And then the first hit that it does is this a homebrew? It kind of looks like a homebrew. Because it says it does 3d8 plus 9 piercing damage, but it doesn't give the average, and it usually gives the average. But anyway, that's about 40-ish damage if both those things happen. And that's only on one creature because it has the one bite, but then it also has its one stinger, and its one stinger is another. Okay, no, this could have really fucked you guys up. I'll take everything I said back. But you guys used banishment on it, which is a charisma save. Right?
Yep.
Its charisma is 4.
But it was so charismatic.
I almost wanted to be friends with it.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, so what you're saying is we should have charmed it instead and turned it into an ally.
The new Deardrha.
Charmed it and then cast polymorph on the worm because it would be amenable to you casting polymorph on it. Tell it you're going to polymorph it into a even bigger worm, assuming it understands you, and then polymorph it into a fly and squish the fly. Except don't do that because then it would. Yeah,
then it just
trap
comes
it in a
back as
jar.
worm.
Yeah, trap it in a jar.
That would just mean that we get. Well, that would mean we have an hour to escape it rather than just 1 minute.
But we can make the jar of unbreakable glass.
Exactly. And then when it expands, it just dies from its own compression.
Which is pretty messed up. It's a pretty
it's
messed up.
Yeah, it's pretty. It doesn't deserve that. We just went into his home and.
As far as I'm
made it
aware,
his
we
space.
didn't have a jar of unbreakable glass, anyways.
It's true.
Anyways, moving on to the next
I don't know
part.
why we spent so long on that worm, but
Yeah.
yeah. Then you guys went on to my favorite mountain, which had our human person in it.
Human
Hey,
person.
Regular
person.
human man.
The regular
Very
human person
normal
man.
guy.
Very normal,
guy.
very normal guy. And
Just
that
happens to live in a cave.
just happens to live in a
Mhm.
cave. And he's lived there for a little bit and he was really vague about all that.
You didn't know
Yep.
how long he had lived there,
Yeah, he
or
didn't know,
what
like,
current events had
Had
ever
a treasure
existed.
room full of gold.
Well, I'm pretty sure
What
that was
else
the
you figured?
dragon's gold.
Yeah.
But well, no, that wasn't even the dragon's island. So now I'm not sure what that gold was.
Well, so just to add confusion to the fire here, remember that you also, after this mountain, went to another mountain where there was a big keep, and it was the
Dragon
like
keep.
hold of all the dragon information, right? So it kind of like
Yep.
seemed like dragons were on this island.
Oh, and there was the mural on the wall in the first cave talking about the history
Yeah.
of the dragons on this island.
That's right. That's right.
And we later
Exactly.
learned about the fountain of revival or whatever it is. That's apparently
Revivication.
Yeah, the one that is apparently right there that we were right next to.
Well, the
Oh,
guy
well.
that was in the cave didn't know that's what it was, so he never introduced it as that. He just kind of was like a fixture in the background.
I like to bath in this.
Yeah,
That's where I watched
this is what I go
it.
swimming in. No wonder
Maybe
he lived
that-
so long.
Exactly. He's just bathing in a fountain of revivication.
It's like, oh, I
I've
feel
been-
great.
I've been torn between him actually being a regular human dude who just like is eternal because of this fountain, or just like he's a dragon.
I bet he's like the first human. Like he is Adam.
Like,
So yeah, that
I-
has to be
I'll-
one of the
sorry, go ahead. That has to be one
yeah,
of the
that has to
reveals.
be one of the reveals about who this human man is.
I'll level with you guys now. I never made a decision on what his deal was. I just wanted to make an NPC you were super sus of. And I wanted to make it seem like he was a dragon, but I also wanted to make it not seem like he was a dragon.
I don't think I've ever seen someone do as many side checks as Emily did on this guy.
It's true.
Well, if we remember anything from that session, that man is a charlatan and cannot be trusted.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Eating mushrooms and moss and not really caring about the gold.
Yeah.
He lived in
What
a
a
cave.
weirdo.
He didn't need the gold. The food grew in his cave for free, and
Yeah.
he had free water. It was a nice like hot spring, so there's your heating. The guy
Kinda
had
wanna live
everything.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to live there. I would like design my
That sounds
perfect
great.
cave home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
And
guy was
he-
me if I
he
lived
had-
in a cave forever.
He had so many cool rooms that we didn't get to go see either.
No,
Yeah.
that was attempt number 2 for a major side quest. There might have been one as well on the second stretch in that session where we're like nothing interesting happened. There might have been some side thing, but doesn't matter. It didn't
Mhm.
happen. You guys
Yeah.
went up to the top of his cave, got out of the cave, and then realized Flapflap wasn't with you. So you guys went back down to the exact spot that you had started that session, which was so funny for me because you guys just did like a big loop.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was the biggest RP loop of your life.
Honestly, it was fun.
It
Yeah.
was a good
Great time.
session.
That was a great
Yeah.
session.
I had so much fun with that because that was the one session Nicole missed for like 1 in a million. Because she attended a lot of sessions up until the end. But she was in the other room hanging out with her friend, and I remember like you cast sending to Flapflap, and I'm like, well, I could make up what Flapflap would say, because I mean, meta-wise, you guys know Nicole just wanted to try out a new character, so I just had Flapflap leave in the most stressful way possible for the party. Which
I
was just
love
to
Flapflap.
yeah, just give them the good old Irish goodbye and take off when they're not looking.
Yep.
Yeah,
It was effective.
it was.
It was.
And she sent the iconic message back when you asked what happened, where do you go, are you safe, and just said flap flap.
It's like, yeah, okay, cool.
Yep.
Good to know.
Yeah.
And then
I-
Nicole was offended by the fact that we just abandoned Flapflap when Flapflap was the one who abandoned us and then didn't come back to the cave system when I let them know that we were waiting.
Well, and it was so funny too because you guys were I don't think you knew at the time what I was doing. I don't think I said beforehand that Nicole wanted to try
No.
a new character. I'm gonna have flap flap leave just randomly. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Because you had Clay, who was gone for like 6 months, and then Fargrim was always with the party. And I never made you check in that Fargrim had left or had
Yeah.
decided that he was done and fucked up.
And with my 23 perception, I just didn't notice the fact that Flapflap wasn't following us. Okay.
So I can get around that in a very convenient way. The man person, the human caveman person had come and distracted you from other peripheral things. Your focus was on this random person in the cave.
Okay.
And also maybe the DM just says leaves and you don't see it, and that's that.
Yep. Because the DM can do things like that.
Yep.
But if the DM does that too often, then it's no fun.
Then we get a new DM.
Then you get a new DM, and there's exactly. Oh, I'm gonna have to be the bard now. I cast vicious mockery.
I do 2 damage.
I do 2 damage. Your face looks like a butt.
Good one, sir.
I'm gonna be starting in a new campaign this weekend, and I'm playing a bard sorcerer, and I'm super excited to cast nothing but vicious mockery with my character and just say things like
Nice.
that.
That's
Quick
such a
and
bad
vicious
spell.
mockery so that you can cast it, or twin vicious mockery.
2d4.
I can't twin. I dual casted, or I multi-classed, and we're 2nd level, so I don't have
Oh.
I don't have sorcery points yet.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Good.
no, that's level 2.
Mm,
Um,
soon.
yeah. Speaking of level 2, I think you guys leveled up around this time to level 10. It was
Probably.
sometime
Yeah.
between these 2 mountains that you guys leveled up to level 10.
Mhm.
But you guys left this one shortly after. The next session, Nicole's new character, Ellie, flew into the cave, or flew from inside the cave, and was
Yeah.
looking for Edward, which then began the string of Joe just introducing every NPC's name as Edward.
And we all looked at Ellie. Is it your Edward?
Which
Would look at Joe and like, is it my Edward?
Which is honestly
Just
just
so
my lack of
obvious.
creativity when I know there's a character Edward that's supposed to come up, and just you see guys like it's Edward.
I don't know.
You guys remember the Where's Waldo books?
Of
Yeah.
course.
So like I can't remember which one it was, but there's one of the searches where it's every character looks somewhat like Waldo.
Oh,
Yeah,
classic.
So I kind of imagine that section of the campaign being like that.
Just
Fair enough.
unbelievably frustrating and painful. I get it.
We had to count the number of stripes on his hat.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's how Nicole felt. She's like, stop making everyone's name Edward.
It's so
Like-
emotionally draining.
It's like, fine, there'll be an Eduardo, an Eddie, an Edison.
Eduardo.
Yeah, because that's different.
Absolutely.
But I'm getting ahead of myself because we have the most important part of the campaign, which is Fornold's retirement.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think we skipped over in the attunement when Emily got smelly and Fornold got very old very fast.
Or yes, he did.
Because you guys
He
attuned
aged-
to those. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, he aged like 50 years after like attuning to a robe, I think. And yeah, he was getting frail.
Yeah. You guys attuned to some cursed items and they had random benefits and random detriments. So I rolled those and you got the aging one, which was just a little too perfect. And then
Man, it
Daphne
should have
got the
been
smelly
reversed.
one.
Because then he would be smelly and the age wouldn't even show on me, so it wouldn't even matter. But no, instead I got smelly and Fornold got even older.
But really, what happened was that Fornold got smelly and older.
That's weird.
Yeah, because with Daphne's high deception, it's like any NPC is like, you kind of smell. It's like, no, actually, it's Fornold. He smells. It's like, oh yeah,
They're like,
I
yeah,
see it now.
that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Oh.
But yes,
you guys- Sorry, keep going.
Fornold found his lifelong, I guess, what he dream, and we went to this keep that was just entirely information about the history of dragons. So he was very much obsessed,
Yeah.
And that's when we also met the old keep, who was a bit creepy.
The keeper.
He had a
The
gross
keepkeeper.
loincloth.
Yeah, he was naked.
It was really nasty, dude.
Did
Yep.
he try and like give the loincloth to Fornold to be like, it's yours now?
And
I
Fornold's like, it's
bequeath
okay.
unto you.
Uh,
I think he opted against it.
yeah.
Yeah, but you guys got there, you met the keeper, and there was a lot of shenanigans that took place inside that keep.
I had to cast how many remove curses?
Okay,
Because
so
we kept trying to take stuff and then leave the room with it, but then suddenly we couldn't let go of the things that we had taken or attuned to.
So
Yep.
you guys got to this keep. On the top of the keep, there was all those stones written in Draconic with like names of dragons, and it kind of seemed like people who had died in a war. Then you guys went down, you found the keeper. He said some things really softly and quietly to you. And then the party split up briefly. Some people went down into that room, found all the banners and scrolls. And then
We went even further down to I think there was another room before we entered the wide area and found the ghosts. No,
I think
there
no,
wasn't.
there was the room with the keeper, the room
Yeah.
with the banners,
The banners,
and then
there
well, you
was the
guys were fucking
ghosts.
around trying to determine, because what would happen is you would read the information, you'd leave the room, and you wouldn't retain the information, almost like the room
Yeah.
was magic, or yeah, the information was magically bound to the room, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Then Ellie and Fargrim leave and go down further, and they encounter the big room full of spirits. And I think it was at that point that you guys came back up, right? Claire, did you guys have a fight with the spirits first?
No, I think we both got really scared. Like we rolled really poorly on checks, got terrified, and then just came back up and we're like, ghosts.
That's right. That's right. Yeah,
Pretty much an episode of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
pretty much. Meanwhile, you have all the nerd players just trying to figure out how they can get this information. You guys have devised like a whole bunch of experiments that basically amounted to Tal using what, 4 level 3 spell slots or something like that.
I used all of my literally
Classic Tal.
like all my 3, 4, 5 level spell slots on removing curse because the party was like, okay, well, if I try to like copy out the information, or if I try and say the information to someone else who's writing it down, and if I write the information down outside of the room while someone inside is reading it and telling it to me, what a
Yeah.
mess.
But if essentially we all figured out that someone has to stay behind if we want to kind of
Yeah, that
learn
was the
about the
conclusion.
information. That was the conclusion, and it was Fornold's calling, and it was sad to see him, be. Well, he found his way, so I'm
He was
like, I'm
happy.
happy. He was happy. I
He
think
found his
that was
dream job.
exactly.
True.
It was a rightful end to his story.
Well, there were still 2 major encounters that happened before that. You guys went down further. You found that one room that had the person sitting and studying, and then they
And there was
summoned
the
this like
illusion.
projection of a dragon or whatever it was. You fought that person. They went to run for a bookshelf. Someone killed them. And then you guys went and found the book they were going to pull that revealed the secret door. And then you went down into the actual mountain. And you guys fought a big gelatinous cube, which I remember being really fun because I think we put down like the egg that I have printed, and then it would eat you guys, so it moved in a line, and then if you got 8, I put your mini inside the egg.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you guys were like,
Uh,
screw this, we're not going further into the cave. We're gonna go back up. And then you guys relieved the old man of his duties. He died Yoda style in his bed. And then Fornold became the new keeper.
Which I mean,
exactly.
I think it was really good because Fornold was getting kind of old. And this way he lives forever, right? Because the keepers are immortal until they find a successor. So
Exactly. The
it worked
keepkeepers
out.
and their loincloths.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're gonna go back and Fornold is just in a loincloth. Just
Like, it's better this way.
Like with his like feet kicked up on the bed, just like
We'll
reading a book.
we'll have to bring Fornold some extra clothes.
No, you
Won't
just come
wear
back.
them.
It's the uniform.
It's a uniform, exactly. It comes with the job.
Exactly. Comes with the job. So you guys did all that, and then I think it's at this point that you're like, what else is there around? And I'm like, for the third time, well, there's this thing off in the distance on the other side of the island. Looks like there's people walking around. Might be a civilization over there. Who could say?
And then we were like,
Who
oh, all
goes
right,
in?
we'll go there.
Just like finally, 10 sessions later.
Yeah.
Yep.
We just wanted to make sure we weren't missing anything.
I mean, you guys
Exactly.
did find the big hoard of treasure where you guys got all that money from the human cave person.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
you guys got the special minted coins that looked like they were minted by a dragon. Or
Oh,
had
is
a
that what they
dragon
were?
symbol. Well, not minted by a dragon, but they like seemed like they were of a dragon society because they
Right.
had like these symbols on them. So
Okay.
similar things said differently. And you
Yeah.
guys go in, and now because we're without Fornold, we have to discover Swap's final character, or not final character, because we're going to continue this campaign eventually, but the last character to be had, which was Hati.
Which was Hati.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
How was
was
Hati introduced to the party?
I think he
I-
wandered up to us in the forest.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was going to
Like, he
say by
just-
blue balling Emily, but
What?
so remember there was I opened up my random encounter book, and there was an encounter with an old woman or something that was going to happen, and I said like an old woman stumbles out, and then Nicole said, "Oh, is this where you introduce Swap's character?" I'm like, "Oh right, Swap's character needs to be introduced." Yeah, you see Swap's character, and then you're like, "No, but I want to know what happens with this."
That sounds like something that happened.
Yep. 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 I
Um,
think
yeah,
yeah, he
yeah.
was like this Hati was like he's like a Dwergar who's looking to prove himself. Says like, I want to go on an adventure. And that's when he finds you guys and decides to tag along. Because you guys are apparently trying to save the world.
Apparently.
Apparently.
Fargrim's face says it all.
Well, if we
It's
get
debatable
around to
how
it,
well
sort
we're
of
doing
thing.
at that.
Yep,
We
yep.
say we're trying to save the world, but if you look at our actions,
Yeah.
We've saved a fair number of people.
Have we?
More than we've
you
killed.
guys stopped the first summoning happening in Craigshaft. You fought against the second summoning. You destroyed a bunch of cursed items. And you have actively tried to foil cultists many times. So I'd say you do okay.
On the positive.
You carry around a
Overall.
lot of cursed items, but you know,
Who doesn't?
Yeah, but
who
like, come
doesn't?
on.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Then you continue in the woods for a little while. Emily, I think you rolled a nature check early on, and I told you that you deduce there are some uncontacted tribes that live in the woods here or something. I think it was said something about like tribe of like wood elf druids or something like that.
Yep.
And also that there was evidence of a lot of bears.
There was evidence of a lot of bears. Yeah.
Right.
might
Which we got
be
to then
the
fight.
druids.
Got to fight. What do you throw at a party of a 5-person party at level 10? One brown bear.
A bear.
Yeah,
One
but we were
bear.
protecting the Eds.
You were
The
protect-
ends.
But
Yes,
they
you guys.
sucked.
They were great. I love those guys. I want to run a mini
Yeah.
shot based around those guys.
I know. They were so like they're like, we are gonna revive Solomon Goodman.
They're a bunch of level 1 characters way out of their depth, Emily. That's what they are.
I didn't mean they sucked as characters. I mean they were gonna die.
Yeah.
So there were 3 of them. There was Ed, Edison, and Eduardo. And I think I described them as being very like what's the word? Like religious sort of folk. I think canon wise there are a couple of clerics and a paladin. And they were sent on the quest to go revive Solomon Goodman at the Fountain of Revivification that we mentioned earlier. And then you're like, "Oh, I think we've been to that fountain."
And we gave them directions.
You
Yeah.
guys gave directions, and they tried to enlist you to help them on their quest as if they were the main characters in their own story. And you guys politely declined once finding out what happened to all the people that tried to join them. Which
Right, because they kept getting more recruits, and then for some reason they were the only three that kept surviving. Like all
they
the
have main
recruits were just
character
cannon
energy.
fodder. Yeah.
Yep. Mhm.
Well, hopefully that keeps up for them and they're able to make it to the fountain. Probably
Okay.
not.
But yeah, they were great. I just remember the way they said like, "Oh, there's so many bears and they're terrifying." And you guys were like, "What do you mean?"
Like a bear? Like a normal bear?
You mean like that thing that we killed with one hit?
uh, yeah. Okay, but just a side pitch. If you guys ever want to do that campaign, 2 clerics, paladin, and it starts with them meeting one of these wood elf druids that decides to join them.
Ooh. It's
There
all
we
very,
go.
it'd be a very low level party too. And
It'd
I
be all
do
level
enjoy
1,
low
yeah.
level parties.
Yeah. It's like a
Oh.
mini shot, so like 5 to 10 sessions, depending on how much fucking there is. But then
Is
you
the
get to
wood elf
navigate.
gonna be
There's
like
always.
the cool guy with a bunch of nerds?
Yeah, exactly. You have the outsider. Anyway, that was the other attempt for a side quest that you guys didn't take.
Because then we'd be backtracking. We had places to go.
We definitely did. We were on a timeline.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, we can't be inefficient in your traveling, especially when it takes days to travel anywhere.
That's true. And then I think Ellie could also polymorph, so you guys lost Fornold who couldn't polymorph, but then Ellie's like, "Oh, I can polymorph," and the game of Quetzalcoatl and win is just continuing apparently.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you guys get to the town and discover that it's a town full of humans. Ellie charms the 2 guards after I remind her that if you upcast charm person, you can charm 2 people. So she did that, and you guys charmed those guys, and they gave you visitor passes.
VIP
And
passes, wasn't it? VIP
no,
visitor passes?
No,
you
No,
guys
those
got-
the
just got a
VIPs were
visitor.
later. Yeah.
you guys got those from Randy
Yeah.
later on. Yeah. And what else? They gave you some information.
To go down to the docks.
And go to the actual Isle of Veloci.
Yeah.
Oh no, you guys had a whole encounter with Randy before that, who was Solomon Goodman's son.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, we wanted to go talk to Randy, and so I think they gave us
Yeah.
directions to Randy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, they gave you directions. And one of the guards said that the other guard there owes him for something. And then when you guys got there, he's like, "Yeah, I do owe him for that time in the desert." And I remember this because Emily in the recession goes, "I really want to know what happened in the desert." And honestly, I do too. So who knows what happened?
Ooh.
Ooh, spicy.
Yeah.
What happens in the desert stays in the desert.
What happens in
There
the
we go.
desert stays in the desert. Yeah. The desert is Las Vegas. Quite literally.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh,
So you guys talk
Good
to
times.
Randy. He gives you very little information about the place you're at, tells you that you're on the wrong island, tells you the
Yep.
island you're on doesn't actually have a name. And
Which is strange.
It's so big.
it is pretty big, yeah. How does it not have a name? Seems like
Mhm.
major oversight on the creator of this world.
Strange.
Yeah.
Funny
Who would do
how
such a
that
thing?
works. Exactly.
And then he gives you the special passes, and then you guys go down to the docks. You guys, Clay buys the best weapon ever.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, Fargrim sees a like ballista essentially. We called it a big crossbow, didn't we? But
Yeah.
it was a ballista made for a ship. And him and Hati are like, "Oh yeah, we have to get it. Let's get
And
it."
together
Exactly.
strong.
It took the 2 of us to carry it. We're like, "We're gonna bring this out to battle."
Exactly.
It was great. Yeah. It was, I think I described it as being like 10 feet long and 6 feet wide or something like that. This thing was enormous. And I might have the dimensions wrong, but Yeah, you guys get that, and then you find the ship full of halflings, and you bring that on, and then there's some miscommunication. They think you're giving it to them, and
And
for
they
all
just
intents and
mount it on me.
purposes, you guys did.
We
No, we
did. We
did
ended
in
up
the
just
end, yeah.
leaving it on the ship.
Yeah.
It wasn't practical for travel.
I
I
don't
mean,
know. We could have used it.
I think you got him down to like 75 gold, Clay, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think, and then he threw in the ballista because at first he wasn't going to give us any bolts for it, and I think
Yeah,
we got him to give us a couple bolts and rope or
Yeah.
something.
that's right. You guys got 2, and I think they had rope on the ship, or you guys had rope, and you guys tied off something together so that you could harpoon things rather than just lose the bolts after one shot, which was very smart in hindsight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good moment. And then you
Mhm.
guys just traveled on the ship for a few days and fought progressively larger krakens
And a toad.
and a toad. Yeah,
Oh my
Yeah,
god,
I
the
have-
toad.
I have in the sequence of events: meet the humans, kraken fight, big kraken fight, giant toad fight.
I think for me the highlight of all those fights was the big Kraken fight. Like, oh no, it was the toad fight.
I
When
like turning into a whale. I thought that was really cool.
yeah, you turned into a whale. I had a way of becoming huge, so I was on the whale as a huge character, and we did so much damage to this thing, and we later found out that it actually died from Emily cat, or was it Emily or
It was from
Riley was it?
Augie.
This is the toad. Yeah, it was Riley casting shoot.
I think
Vicious
it was
Mockery.
Vicious Mockery.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like it was like telling you about like he's not even that pretty of a toad or something.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's all it takes to die.
Yeah, and I think everyone except Emily is clueless to why you guys fought a random big toad in the sea.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, most people here have played the game Talisman, and as you may recall, you can get turned into a toad in Talisman. And in the Christmas card that Emily gave me this past Christmas, it had one of the toad cards from Talisman, and in it said, "Use this as inspiration for the next combat."
Nice.
And
So I
you
did.
did, and it was great.
I also
Oh,
want to see a
great.
giant toad fight. We got these toad minis that we've printed, and they're size large, so might as fucking well.
There we go.
Glorious.
Yeah. And then now things get interesting as we near the very end of the campaign. You guys finally get close to Isle Veloci, but first you're encountered by another ship of half-orcs and gnomes, and they say to you that they're looking for some wanted men. And I think, yeah, Clay you were there this session, and you were the only surviving party member now because Tifala had left you guys after the worm fight, or just around then. She decided that she had better things to do than hang out with you guys. Which
Probably
honestly
to look for
fair.
more fruit. Like we stopped looking for fruit, so that was on us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so the only surviving party member from the horse heist is now Fargrim, and these guys present all these flyers, and Daphne is the only party member who knows all of the deceased party members. Which is just such a great, like, in the span of 40 days. It's just like you lose so many friends. And these guys are like, we're gonna find them, we're gonna hunt them down. I've been seething on this for almost 2 years of they have to pay the consequences for murdering people in a town. They can't just get away with this.
And then what do? Get away with
Get
it.
away with it.
Well, so I think Fargrim just hides in the hold of the ship. It's
Yep.
just like, yeah.
I'm not
and
here.
You guys, and Emily, I think you said, why do you have pictures of all my dead friends? And then they're disappointed they're dead because they're worth 1,000 gold alive in Hagen Dwarf. But they go down into the hold of their ship, and you hear one of them shout, "You said they'd be at sea!" And you guys hear them shoot what you think is Stewart, and he comes back up with blood on his shirt, and then you guys basically venture off your ways.
That was
So-
messed up.
Yeah.
Why did Stewart know where we were?
So So that'll be revealed when I talk about the cabin in the woods.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
What I'll say is as a hint, you guys always had cursed stuff on you, like as a party.
Yeah.
And you guys
No
did learn
surprise
very
there.
early on that the cursed items can be used to track you.
Yeah, but why does Stewart know?
So it'll be revealed in the fullness of time here very
Oh.
shortly.
Because
But
Philip was evil, I bet.
that, yeah.
Oh my god.
But I was gonna say, Emily, I didn't realize this when I did that at the time, and I still will hold that Stewart may or may not be dead. Because I like having the recurrence of Stewart come back. So he may or may not be dead. But in Deardre's stories, when I was listening back to all this, she did have him die at sea. But I didn't remember that when I did this, and I was listening back, and I'm like, that's just too perfect that worked out.
Beautiful.
That's great.
No.
So if he is dead, it aligns perfectly with what Daphne thinks Stewart's story is, because he has now fully tried to betray his friends and paid the consequence for it. Right? Full circle. Stewart also gets
Nice.
closure, even though he NPCs like for the second 3/4 of the campaign.
Second 3/4.
I was like gonna say
Comes to
second
the
half,
first
but I'm like, no.
3/4.
Alex was there for like maybe the first 15, 20 sessions, I think.
Even less than that, I think.
Yeah, even less. Like, yeah. But made such an impact with Stewart. I mean, my God.
You did.
Yeah.
You really did.
What a
But
guy.
you guys eventually get close to the shore. You talk to the halflings and they're like, we're not gonna wait for you. We're gonna leave. Bye. And then you guys agree to that. You guys water walk up to the shore. You guys scramble up the rocks. It takes you a long time. Some of the party members just skip it. And then you guys wander through the desert, set up a watch, and then stumble upon a hatch. And you knock on this hatch and you find the dragons.
The
Oh,
dragons.
the
dragons.
dragons.
The
Oh, this is
greatest
also when
dragons.
we
Dragons.
had Riley come in.
Riley had come in a little bit before. He was on the ship with
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yes, this
You
is
guys
the
found
dragons.
Riley adrift on
Right.
on a piece of debris in the ocean, and then he was there for the giant toad fight. As Augie, the mysterious. Was he a half elf, or am I just thinking like elf because of the current campaign?
He was a human.
Oh, you right. He was a human. Yeah, that's right. He was a human person,
Human
which is
person.
automatically sus because this
Regular
campaign had
human
very few
person.
humans. Yeah. So you guys find the dragons that are actually just kobolds that claim to be dragons.
I
And there's
love them so much.
they were so great. They're just little guys.
There's so many little guys.
They're little guys that think that they're real big important guys.
Yeah. Even
And then-
cuter.
You guys went down in there and met Tardodius, who is the big actual blue dragon.
Yes.
And they
Right.
all thought Tardodius was the least important dragon. And I can't remember if he
Then
told
we-
you where to find the dragons or if you guys just asked to take his money and left.
I think he gave us more information.
I feel like he did too.
Yeah.
Because I think Augie was talking to him quite a bit.
Yes, because he was talking Draconic to Augie. That's right, because no one else in the party spoke Draconic after Fornold left.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is how we knew what direction to head.
Yes.
And then we ran into Penelope later on. But
Yeah, first you
Yep.
guys went through the gift shop. There was a bunch of shenaniganry where I gave you a shop, so of course you guys are gonna try and rob it again. Because you know
Yep.
you're not really murder hobos, but you are kleptomaniacs. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
That
we
was
That-
stole
me
like
this time,
a
though.
calendar, and
A map.
that was it pretty much.
no, I
An
think there's a
atlas.
map too. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, a book of
Mhm.
maps.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good
And then you
times.
convinced or Augie convinced what's his name?
Sylvester.
Sylvester, not Stewart. Yeah, Sylvester the dragon to come with you
Sylvester.
guys because apparently he had a shot with Ellie.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yep, totally.
The one NPC that I don't name Edward, apparently. Yeah. It was his
Well,
middle
because that
name.
because if it was named Edward, then he wouldn't stand a chance.
It's true. Yeah,
Because there's a better Edward out there.
that's right. And then he becomes your bannerman.
Yep.
We kept
Oh.
forgetting about him.
We did.
I just remembered something that was super important that we completely glossed over. The 6 different types of banners you guys saw at the Dragon Keep.
Yep.
Because you made note of those, and then when you were here in the gift shop, you saw some of those banners in the gift shop.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be
And it
good
was-
to know about.
Yeah, because it was kind of this whole vague structure of the dragons. Like you guys had learned earlier when you were doing research. We also glossed over this. Like there was 6 different dragons. Who remembers the dragons' names? The six important dragons.
I know there was
Dwergar.
blue.
Red.
Blue the red dragon and red the blue dragon. Yep, we got
Yeah.
those guys.
That's all I got.
Dwergar.
You don't remember Gibbles?
I have them written down somewhere.
Oh, Gibbles, of course.
Gibbles the dragon.
The dragon.
The dragon. Shoot, I'm trying to find it now.
I have them all
Um,
written down, but I'd have to go and get them.
Yeah, that's fine. I can flip through
Wasn't
notes,
there
but
a green dragon? Like
there was a
named
green dragon. I just remember Gibbles and red and green because I did the red green thing where green was the red dragon and red was the green dragon because red green show for the Canadians. So just us.
There was blue, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was blue.
was-
I thought it wasn't a green.
'Cause
Blue
Swap
blue
made
was
a
a
bunch of
silver
red shift
dragon though.
jokes.
So we had I found the page. So we had Dwergar, the female copper dragon, Snef, the female bronze dragon, Blue, the female silver dragon, Red, the male green dragon, and Green, the male red dragon, and then Gibbles, the male blue dragon.
Prime naming.
Correct.
You can tell that's the order I named them in because I got tired at the end and just made the last one Gibbles.
Gibbles.
Yeah.
He's just an okay horse.
No, that was Dipshit. But Dipshit knew his name.
That's the
Because
only
Dipshit would-
thing he did know, to be fair.
Man, boy. Did you guys never learn the names of the other 4 dragons though? Because there were 4 other dragons. Did you guys ever learn about this, or am I revealing things now for the first time?
We knew that there were the tombs of the of the 3 dead dragons.
Okay, then I just
Mhm.
accidentally did reveal something. So there's 4 dragons, and you guys didn't know that up until now.
Ooh.
Yeah, this
There
is
we go.
actually things that I have planned because apparently I have dates on this too. Wow, that was planned a year ago.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're-
well, it was good. There's so much dragon lore that we've glossed over at this point because
Honestly, there's so
Like,
much
there's
dragon
just-
lore that I wrote, or not so much. There's like notes of dragon lore that I don't think you guys ever found out that's written down in my notes somewhere, and that I've probably forgotten about because it never manifested into the game. And if it doesn't
Yeah.
happen, it's
Mm.
not real. So.
sure.
But anyway, back to where you guys are at. So you guys trudge through the desert. You find an oasis, and there you find a small child, human person who turns out to be Penelope.
The dragon.
And it's at this point you guys realize that all the dragons in this world can do the shapeshift ability that's only actually ascribed to some ancient dragons, rules as written. But I was like, screw it, they can all do it. It's more fun that way.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice,
And
nice,
that's when we
nice.
sort of started putting it together that we've encountered dragons before.
Yep.
And they
Potentially.
were people.
Potentially.
Mhm. Yep.
How funny would it be if those people are actually just regular human persons?
That'd be funny. That'd be really funny.
But yeah,
I
and then
don't know if I
Penelope-
ever wrote it down, but there is some lore for that does exist in my brain, but maybe not on paper.
There we go.
Yeah.
all
But
planned.
yeah, it's all planned, especially the parts I improv.
Penelope was upset that we took so long.
Yeah, she was upset, but she stuck around.
She
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Which we really appreciated. And then we started heading off towards the town.
Yep. And then
And you encountered the giant sand ship because there was the whole talk of cacti that were important in the area. And then you guys found some cacti, so you're like, oh, and then you touched it, and then the DM was like, "Wah! You activated my trap card."
Yep.
Yep. It was the one final battle.
Yeah, it was. It was the stupidest final battle that you guys could have hoped for.
It
Yep.
was a little ridiculous. Like we didn't
It wa-
understand what was going on for the most part, or at least I didn't.
It was like
No
it was
idea.
like sand ship, right? So there was a ship, but it was a sand ship
Yeah.
full of
No,
full of
like just
minotaurs.
the fact that there were the minotaurs that didn't die, they just poofed away, but not the ones that you hit. The other ones were poofing away.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. And Hati would try to kill this one dude for so long and just wouldn't die.
But all the other
Like,
ones were
kept-
getting poofed away
Yeah.
because of it. Yeah.
Hit
That
him
was so
so many
great.
times.
And what was the most important thing about that ship?
The
Edward
little
was there.
girl.
Edward was there. That's right,
Oh,
Swap.
right.
Edward, the real one, was on the ship.
Ellie found him and he's like, "See you guys." And
Ellie
then
just
blew
yeeted
off.
herself out.
Yeah, she did a bunch of spell shenaniganry to separate him off from the rest of the crew, and then swooped in
Right.
and took him away and exited the campaign.
Right when the battle was getting hard, she's just like, "Hi."
Yeah. The person with like the best DPS for combat, just like, nope, I'm gone.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a struggle. Well,
I actually did like the way Nicole played Ellie's character. That was actually.
I
it
did
was
too.
good.
Yeah. Spoiler, but not really. But when we pick up this campaign again, Nicole's probably just gonna bring Ellie back.
What
Nice.
about
Edward was a
Flapflap?
dick.
No, yeah, that's what it's gonna be. Like Edward just turns out to be an asshole. She's like, Edward broke up with me or something like that. My parents were right.
So now she has to go on this like revenge montage to show that she don't need no man.
Exactly, yeah. Her
Our
whole
next
independent
quest is
woman
to
era.
kill Edward.
I was gonna say she'll be
Yes.
hunting Edward down this time.
And the
Exactly.
murder hobo has come back.
No. Edward is probably aligned with Ocarus or something.
Exactly.
Right,
Or
yeah,
at least we'll
justify it
plant
that way.
evidence in that
Oh, I
Mhm.
regard.
bet Edward is actually Ocarus. He polymorphed just to be like a cool guy.
Oh,
Sounds like
crazy.
Ocarus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, polymorphic Ocarus. That's a good idea. I should steal that.
Whoops.
Scott. Yeah.
So you
Oh,
guys
boy.
fight this. You guys fight the ship for 2 full sessions and find out that it's just some wizard gnome in the hold of the
In the
ship that's
hull,
just reading a
yeah.
book and manning this ship, and you guys are just ruining her wish.
She's the one who just randomly decided to attack us, so that's not on us.
She
Exactly.
attacked us for no reason.
That's fair. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like
But I
there
did
was
that-
feel
no
pretty bad.
attempt to try and like talk to us. It was just you touched a cactus, you have to die.
You touch
we
the
even
cactus,
touch
you
it?
have to die.
We just got
Yeah,
close
yeah.
to it, right?
No, Hati touched it. He was
Hati
obsessed.
was a little focused.
He was sure that it was a magical cactus, so he was like, "I want to touch it."
Is it a crime to touch a plant now?
Apparently.
Exactly.
Jeez.
In the desert, yeah. Yeah, it is.
Oh wow.
But yeah.
Touch a cactus, get fucked up by a ship full of minotaurs.
That's how the
I'm
saying
never
goes.
touching a cactus again.
There you go. You learned your lesson. Especially in D&D,
Mhm.
you can't touch anything.
Don't touch
Yeah.
anything. Don't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't interact with anyone. Just pack up your bag and go home. That's how you win the game.
That's D&D for you guys.
Okay,
Oh, great.
and then the last session, you guys find the dragons, you find their whole society, you find out that Augie was secretly a dragon this whole time. I think you found that out in the ship fight. I think he turned into a dragon and then immediately got banished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't sure if he was a dragon or if he just polymorphed into a dragon.
Yeah.
There's various ways one can look like a dragon.
Well, I
Yep.
think he told you he was a dragon, and then in the next session he told you that he had some shady dealings in this town and kind of got exiled. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be hard for him to go back. And yeah, what do you guys remember about the last session? I don't want to just like steamroll over the events here. So
Oh, I remember Augie's friend.
yeah,
And we learned about their escapades, I guess.
It was
Their
so sad.
Yeah.
yeah,
I just-
how he was betrayed or betrayed. What was it? Uh he took the blame for his friend essentially
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
was exiled.
But he also did do the crime.
He did do the crime.
But he did it to like get his mom's attention, right?
Yeah,
He
well, because
was
he doesn't know
Which
his
is really sad.
he doesn't know his parents.
yeah.
So he was
Yeah.
like, maybe if I do something, mom will pay attention, whoever she is.
it was very like Percy Jackson kind of vibe.
Yeah.
If I just lash out, my dad will acknowledge me.
But then they imprisoned him.
Yep.
Sad.
Yep. And yeah.
We tried our best to try and like reason with the dragons and being like, no, you should let him go. Like we'll take care of him. And they're just like, no. But we're gonna hold him prisoner forever because even though he did the right thing and returned an artifact that was stolen, he returned and he's not allowed to be back here.
Lawful neutral, baby.
So
Wow.
he wasn't allowed to come back. So his punishment is that he is locked up and has to stay there.
But he can't move around
Yep.
very much.
It was a
Okay.
sad end.
So
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah. Oh,
That was the second PC NPC we had.
Mm-hmm. And
And
I
I
do
don't think
remember.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, no, but it was just like I do remember the other end of it. We did give Panoply some chicken. That was the other thing I
Yes.
remember.
Yes, you guys.
Yes.
Yes, you did that afterwards. Yeah, you're like, oh
that
no,
was like
Augie.
right at
Oh,
the
well.
end.
Yeah,
We're like, oh,
And
we
you
should
get-
probably reward.
you guys also bought a bunch of gear, I think, too, in town. Yeah,
Yeah, we spent an obscene amount of money on
Yeah.
glass bottles.
it's
Right.
yeah. No, that was
Uh,
funny. Like the last, I think, hour of the campaign was just you guys buying stuff.
Which I think we still didn't do all of the shopping that we are going to need to do before we actually leave.
No.
nope.
But that was the end of the campaign, or the pausing point of the campaign.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there was still like
Yeah.
the whole discussion that we had with the actual dragons.
Yeah.
Like we sort
Yeah,
of just
but
skipped over that part where it's like
That
we were
wasn't
like
important.
we vouched our case for them trying to help us against Ocarus, and the women dragons seem to be really like, yeah, okay, we can help, and then all the men dragon were like, leave us alone. We're not helping you.
Yes, that was exactly how it was.
Exactly.
And I think the other important thing was that they said, if you do these things, maybe we'll help you. There was like some negotiation where you guys got some pull with them, and they said, look, if you can go and retrieve the ancient artifacts from these 3 temples, then maybe we'll have a fighting chance. And then that's kind of like where we left it, where you guys now have to go and do these 3 temples, or, do literally anything else, and the DM will make things up for you guys.
So the main objective is 3 dungeon crawls. However, side quests.
However, I will forever throw infinite side quests at you guys.
Time to investigate the black shipping company.
Exactly.
Better late than never.
Hey, I am so ready for that. I've been ready for that since 2022.
Perfect.
It's the first session.
Yeah, literally swap. Like if I go
Yep.
back to my notes from the first session, which I did, and I looked at how much stuff I wrote about the black shipping company and things in Heigendorf, the town you guys spent literally 1% of the campaign in and never went back. I'm like, well, toss all that out.
I wonder if all that you wrote is still valid, like, or if anything has been outdated or overwritten in all of your like improv throughout the years.
I think with the stuff in Dwarf, I had a pretty clear idea from the beginning what was happening inside the Monarch there. And since you guys left, the bad guys were just able to have complete influence. And you kind of know that from something like that's not a reveal because you guys know that from when you scried and saw Woldor. One of the locations you saw was Dwarf and had been completely decimated with undead and cultists. And that's because the cultists were able to infiltrate the inner circle of the monarch there and basically completely converted the town from inside out. Which was because you guys left. But if you guys never went to Craigshaft, then something similar could have happened there, which you guys disrupted by going there and infiltrating the inner circle of Solomon and helping make that way less awful than it would have been. Like one of the things about this campaign, which might always make it feel like you guys aren't accomplishing your goals, is because you're kind of the low level party as the end of the world has started. So my whole idea for this campaign is that the end of the world comes and you guys fight through that, because the end of the world is never the end of the world. It's just some cataclysmic event. And
so we're meant to be like the post-apocalyptic heroes that just lived through the incoming apocalypse.
This is Mad Max.
I know.
The party goes to the Thunderdome.
And that concludes the 4-part recap series of a 2-year campaign I ran with all my friends called Raiders on the Wall. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more D&D and TTRPG related content. Additionally, next week we have the reveal episode coming out. That's where the party members hear for the first time all the secrets that they did not know the answers to throughout this entire campaign. So you'll definitely want to tune in and see the reactions to all that new information and find out what the heck was going on for yourselves. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the 80 Proudfoot podcast. If you enjoyed it, please follow us on Instagram, Spotify, or Twitter. And as always, may the gods have mercy on your soul.